Oh, okay, folks. Maybe eventually I'll get back to reading some articles and other stuff. So much stuff is going on right now. I kind of have to balance out, talking about what's going on in present day versus what I'm reading about and how to present it in present day. Anywho, what I will say is that I've heard some other folks. I'm not going to say their names. I'm not going to go too much into it, just in case. Ooh, excuse me. But I would say that collapse is a process, and that is what the United States is going through right now. It is a process. The United States still has enough strength in the world to, use drones and use a potential military force, but that power has been limited. We have seen the death of special forces operators in Africa. Um, we have seen the military literally bend the knee and start dancing the Macarena in the streets during these protests. So our position is diminishing, as clear as day. The real question for pragmatic people is not what system is going to take over necessarily. I mean, that's one thing. That's kind of something that even if a so-called leftist group takes over, that doesn't mean they're going to instantly invest in leftist quote unquote ideas. They're going to have to be pragmatic as well, and they're going to have to learn much the same way as people like Lenin talked about. Much the same way as Lenin talked about, where in Satan Revolution, at least from my reading of it, is basically, yeah, we organize according to class consciousness. We overthrow the system, and we pay. The governmental structure will remain the same, and then eventually will wither away. But until then, we're going to have the same system, but we're just going to make it more democratic. And basically, everyone gets paid a workman's wage, as Lenin says, literally. Maybe that's just my reading of it. I'm like I say, I know that there are so many different editions of State and Revolution, and that's the one that I read. But that's my interpretation. But how is this collapse going to be affected? I mean, how is it going to, because like I say, it's not going to just, it's like the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire didn't just, end one day. No, of course not. Because then you have the Holy Roman Empire, like the Byzantines, and then you have, the proper, Roman Empire proper. Whole lot of different stuff that happened, and I'm not that big brain. I'm not that intelligent to make calls like that. What I will say is basically there's going to be a lot of different stuff that's going to go on. There's going to be a lot of different events that occur. More and more. These riots are, it appears to be, they're going to get rid of the police, at least for now. I mean, and I saw a good old Black Red Guard, of course, post a series of videos, and he says, whoa, white folks are still going to, be shooting black folks in the streets and whatnot. That's true to a point, but it's like, these private militaries and these private police forces that will come up, they're going to have some black folks in there, and they're going to be shooting their own as well. So, I take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, maybe I'm just, I don't really know where to go from there, to be honest with you. But I feel like, there's a lot of events that are going to happen in addition to what's going on right now, or what has already happened. I mean, that's clear as day, though. I mean, that's like saying, well, stuff is going to happen. No shit, Sherlock. I'm sorry for that point, but it's like, and we're going to see how this is going to play out. obviously, I think I heard on Constantine's channel. He's talking, of course, about the United States is going to be withdrawing troops from Germany. Now, of course, I think as they were saying, it was a pretty short episode, just an extra bonus episode of Constantine's commentary. But basically, it said, yeah, they're either going to move them to Asia, or they're going to send those troops, because they're not going to send them to Syria. They may send them to, I think that they were saying Poland. It's going to be interesting to say the least. But yeah, it's the same type of thing. We've seen this over and over with Trump. It's like, yeah, we're going to get out of Syria, and we're going to move those troops back to Iraq, or we're going to take troops out of Iraq and we're going to move them to Syria, or we're going to, they never get sent home. And of course, those troops, stationed, at Panmunjom on the border, are still going to be there. I think it's about 20,000 troops, I want to say. Let me see here. U.S. troops in South Korea. How many U.S. troops are in South Korea? 23,468. There we go. Okay. That way we can get a more exact number, but nonetheless. And how many are in Japan? U.S. troops in Japan. It's going to be a lot less, I imagine. Japan 2020. How many troops are there in Japan? Oh, wow. More. Okay. 50,000 U.S. personnel stationed in Japan, along with 40,000 dependents of military personnel, and then 5,500 American civilians. So, yowza. Yeah. I have thought about that, though. I don't know if I've said these thoughts on video, but I think I'll say them here. Is imagine the logistical nightmare to bring troops back. And that's got to be a nightmare, especially the trip, going from South Korea to Japan, because obviously you can't just, it would have to be a leapfrog where it's like you keep the folks that, make sure that everything's loaded up and, keep the pilots all right. And, you've got your old C-130s and your C-141s and your, whichever aircraft that you have left, to move folks. But imagine that leapfrog back and forth and how many trips. My goodness. it's unbelievable. It really is. That would boggle the mind. But, I'm sure that there are people who have gone to, that have worked in logistics, and that work in, Quartermaster Corps, working, Quartermaster Corps, that's the Army, but yeah, that's the whole, but, who work in, who are in the Air Force that do logistics all the time, and they can figure out fuel efficiency and how much, if you're weighed down with this amount versus that amount. I'm sure that they have all those calculations and they have kind of a rough idea, but still, that's got to be massive. But that could be the future. That should be the future, but who knows? But, I think everyone agrees, whether left or right wing, ultimately. Let's bring our troops home. We don't need to be in Japan any longer, Let Japan build up. Let Japan go ahead and go back to becoming the imperialist nation it was. Why not? Just let them. If they want to institute more of a nationalist sentiment and, get the old songs out and start saying, Chichio Anakana do 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 do. For those that know, that's or whichever Japanese song that you like, but or get the Batatai. I don't know how you pronounce that, but to me that's going to be the future of things. Is getting troops the hell out. Or just, what are they going to do? It's like, how many troops are in U.S. troops in, let me check here, in Germany now? I'll just put Europe in general. Europe now. Okay. Europe 2020. Okay. Let's see what we got there. Okay. In Hungary. Okay, here we go. Okay. France, other. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So East Asia. Okay. So let me see what we got here. Okay. Let's see here. The ultimate total here. Okay. So 63,361 total. And breaking that down, Army, Navy, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Air Force, and Coast Guard, 25,822 Army troops of varying, branches, 7,418 Navy personnel, 2,212 U.S. Marine Corps jarheads, and 27,856 U.S. Air Force airmen and officers and everything else, and 53 U.S. Coast Guard sailors. And let's see here, just in East Asia. Okay, let's talk about East Asia. We talked about Japan. 55,165. In total, it's 131,435 in East Asia. In the contiguous United States, Alaska, Cuba, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Greenland, and Canada, you're looking at 1 million troops. That's it. 1 million troops in the Americas. Because we only have about 3 million folks in our military right now. Relatively small, but yeah, 1,142,497 in the Americas. 131,435 in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific Ocean. In Europe, 63,361. And most of those are in Germany, Italy, and the UK, and Spain. Well, okay. I'll list the ones that are in thousands. Okay. 34,674 in Germany. And this is all Wikipedia, so take it all with a grain of salt. Disclaimer. Okay. 12,353 in Italy, 9,394 in the United Kingdom, 3,227 in Spain, and 1,142 in Belgium. And then, Norway, Greece, Netherlands, Portugal, Poland, and Romania, and other. And then let's see here, West Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, Africa, and the Indian Ocean, 13,109. And of course, I see Israel, Bahrain, unspecified. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of the way it breaks down. I think nonetheless, it's still fascinating to say the least about those types of numbers. And obviously that's Wikipedia. Take it with a grain of salt, I should say. But it's probably going to be like, when we left Vietnam, we would just throw the Hueys over the side that we didn't have room for, put on carriers. I don't know how it would be in Europe. I really don't. I imagine that the troops in Europe would have some sort of Dunkirk evacuation type of thing going on if they really did get beat back by the Russians. Supposedly. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but hopefully the United States military wouldn't be that dumb. But yeah, it would be some hell, bro. It would be. Yeah. It's just, anywho, I got off topic, but anyway, the collapse is going to be a process, and the military is just one part of it. You think about it, even where I live. I'm not going to dox myself. I've said it in other videos, but I'm not going to say it here. Even where I live, they have there aren't many people that are directly working for the city. There are people that work for temp organizations. There are temp jobs, outlets like Express Employment. And it's like there's a staggering amount of those folks. And that, and for me, it's like I worked in the street department. I was an idiot and got let go. Story of my life, but a story of a lot of people's lives. But, I'm not going to make an excuse for that. That's just cope anyway. I sucked, but it was a sucky job. They gave me a shitty vehicle to drive. And just, yeah. But once again, cope. Just like I say, I can be fair, when Jason Unruh, when I talk shit about Jason Unruh, I can talk shit about myself too and say I was coping. I was a spoiled little brat. I'll be honest. I know that's what I am ultimately. Anywho, I mean, with that alone, we see that these, just for a simple stretch of road, not even, I would say not even a quarter of a mile, it's taken the city months to get done. And obviously, I don't even think the city's doing it. It's it's group, it's companies from down south, places like Dallas, Fort Worth, But yeah, I mean, it's just one example. I mean, there's so many other parameters you could look at, and it's gonna be one of those things. People are just gonna be unemployed, and where are they gonna go? You either join the revolutionaries or you join, you're going to join the hustlers. You're going to join, whichever paramilitary groups are going to be out there or whatever is going to be available in your neighborhood. I've kind of talked about that already, but, it's going to be interesting to say the least how it's going to all fall apart. Anywho, I'm trying to look at it from a pragmatic point of view, not just hey, America's going to fall. Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, that'll be great. But what's going to happen for the people that live in the United States? And then what's going to happen for the rest of the world? It's not going to be as cut and dry as people think it will be. That's not me defending the United States. I'm just saying is what it's going to be. And you have to ask those questions now, I think. You have to at least post those questions now of where the cracks are going to be and who's going to take over certain areas. But I've kind of talked about that already. And, anywho, I'll let that be. And y'all have a good night. I think this will be the only video I'll upload today. And I'll keep it there. So see you later, folks. Have a good night.